Rising. We take Earth's temperature. It's dangerously high and rising. Sunday, Flotta, Egilse, Namrit, Jaluit, Mejit, Karkena, Ithaca. All the boats will be crowded, and maps will not help us when our islands drown. Waters, tempers, panic, all dangerously high and rising.
From our island. From our island to all others, I ask for forgiveness that we crossed your sea with steel in one hand, disease in the other, that we ate your land, that though our hands are now empty, we fill your sea with what we no longer need. I ask forgiveness with both empty hands.
Sisters of the Superfund site, I bring you witnesses, woken up from silence, a bouquet of ears to hear of your soil soaked with arsenic and cyanide, tributaries saturated in leads and benzofluoraphene, just beyond the tree line of your tree-lined street, wastewater lagoons leached into the lawns, and the air tasted chemical. What they called uncontrolled exposure. Now you can't dream. Sisters, I bring you with my last breath, a clean wind of hope.
Al-Kathar, Gardens of the Moorish Palace, after Ibn al-Arabi. 1. The lizard that drinks at the fountain slinks from shadows like fragments of lightning. The unseen cartographers are drawing the sun's maps. They crease and fold the walls like parchment, showing us a jeweled fly in the iris of a lotus, ingots floating their light across the pool. A silver arc from the mouth of a stonefish pours water in a ring of bubbles, clasping thought, as a kingfisher sparks a heartbeat from an atom of turquoise, splitting the tulip tree, the handkerchief tree, the long braids of bougainvillea tumbling out of a drawer of reflections. 2. Reflecting a hall of mirrors flung open to the sky if I look upside down, to the earth floating up. The nib of a swallow lifts jewels of water from the surface. Some spill. Its red throat is plumage, but might also be infrared. No blue to express the zigzag of light on its back. At one angle, it is a carrier of gold in a knapsack, bringing the flies of imagination to this time and place. With another, it twirls a colour wheel and dissolves the orange carp, reflected in the blue of jacaranda, the way the spears of the palm trees unsheathe their scabbards of light in a zigzag motion, so that thought is movement, reflecting the garden, buoyed up in peace, in the awe of water. 3. My hand rests near this lizard drinking at the fountain, and we share the same air as our throats pulse in and out. I know the wild world bleeds, and thoughts grind their gears, sculping the tar sands. Jets with their needles are sewing up the sky's lids. But lizard, give me your stillness now, to hold a flicker of your lightning. Let me enter space with you, find the zigzags you take to all the invisible gardens in the dark.
All land is hallowed. All land is hallowed, with earth baptized by some god and seas swum in by angels. Yet we walk in sadness, watching sisters in two oceans paint our legacy in words of despair. We, the infant stewards, young with no control, just blind to broken rocks and shells. This is a globe of poisons, close to oblivion, wounded by each generation. As our sun takes her dead child back to the beginning.
Sister of melting ice and snow, I am coming to you from the land of my ancestors, from a time red squirrels could travel 300 miles from Lockerbie to Lochinver without touching the ground. Sister of land where homes are threatened by sea, I am coming to you from a land where millions of acres of hill and moor are burnt each year, where eagle, osprey, weasel, fox and mountain hare are poisoned, shot and snared. Sister of melting ice and snow, I am coming to you from a land where forest is an empty word. Balmoral Forest, the Forest of Mar, the Afric Forest, treeless now. Deer Forest means only deer. Sister of land where homes are threatened by sea, I am coming to you from a land of hills once clothed with mosses, flowers and montane shrub, reduced to desert by sheep and deer. A land where monocultures of Sitka spruce, dark scars from valley to snow line, are given protection while native woods are sacrificed. Sisters of snow and ice, ocean and sand, I am coming to you from a country where downy birch, Scots pine, sessile oak, hazel, willow, alder, gean and rowan wait on the edge with sphagnum bogs, lichen and alpine scrub to reclaim this barren land. We all must rise.
Our daughter's eyes. Sister of limestone and forest, I come to you with salt on my face. Sister of city and smartphone, I come to you with dirt on my boots. Sister of limestone and forest, let me show you my grandmother's handloom. Sister of city and smartphone, I bring with me these cornflower seeds. Sister, I offer you long skeins of my mother's homespun wool. Sister, let me show you a crack in the verge where these seeds can take root. From one heart to another, I hand to you this woven shawl. From one land to another, I give to you the brown and the blue of our daughter's eyes.
Sisters and brothers behind closed doors, I'm coming to you breathless, masked and gloved, from a country stilled by the leveller that has come harder and faster than any of us imagined. All of our homes are now islands on this earth. We know now that none of us is immune. Sisters, brothers, in these months where we sit, staring into screens, stranded as our systems crash, helpless as our elders gasp, let us ask each other this. Amid vaulted cities and ripped open possibilities, do we dare let our known structures crumble? May we hope not to restore, but to transform. Might we ride this surging tide of unified human kindness and gently this time, rise.
Sister of soil and grassland, brother of granite and scree, also you cousins of concrete, I call you from Cotswold limestone, from chalky downs with quartz clear springs, once thought of as underworld openings for ancestors' spirits to enter. I call you to beg that you act now to ensure there will be future ancestors. Animals we have hunted from our shores, speared and shot with bow and musket, wolf and cave bear and lynx. Our forests don't feel wild without you. We're scared you'd take our children, as well as lambs and calves. But is there a way we could share this island in an uneasy peace?
My dwelling an island, scarred north to south, east to west, with the burden, dressed as improvement. Civilization. The stories laden in this land are those of people who forgot their roots, are tied deep within the earth. Instead, we are bound through our war won with machines, created in our minds, by our hands. Pockets of hope are waiting to be found here. I listen to the language of trees, the guardians, the gateway to our past and to our future. They hear your call, and so do I. Now I rise.
Tomorrow will never happen. It's not necessarily rising oceans that will drown your misconceptions, though that could happen. More likely water pouring from moors, their peat beds stripped and sold, none left to hold it. While last year's heather has been burnt for grouse to be raised, to be killed for the sport of wealthy men. Come winter, rain will fall like a cliff, and you'll discover rivers ignore all barriers, your walls of grubby, sodden sandbags. Glutted and prosperous, they'll have power, ideas of their own that will let you know tomorrow is now.
Brother of bright waves, tell me of Mother Ocean, who lives in the deep sea caves and gives birth to endlessly new creatures. Sister of mist and moorland, Mother Ocean will not forgive the miners who would ransack her home, the deep place where life on earth was born, the womb where we all began.
The boys in orange. The boys in orange come down our road on Fridays in a metal whale with spinning lights. They squeeze between our cars, emptying our plastic boxes. In one, we have carefully placed the trees that were cleared to grow the oil for our food. In another is the oil itself. In another, there's a collection of this week's islands. in separate tied bags, a polar bear and an albatross. The boys in orange go past our house every Friday, to the end of our road and the end of our world. Once before. Once before there were birds in my country too, but now they are only there in the ears of the brain, whistling down in the long twisting tunnels of sleep, as if it was late evening one summer in there. And once there were bees in my wide county of ears, where I listened to flowers like trombones and bells, along lanes that sank between fields I remember. And sometime again, the rain will touch a thorn and hang there, then drop in the dust. The green will come up, if not in my time, as it did once before.
Sisters and brothers of the dust path, the last water for miles drying up. Sisters and brothers of sea level inches, their only paved road broken by flood. Sisters and brothers of the burnt fields, left to walk in the heat for miles to nowhere. Sisters and brothers of the stilt house, not tall enough to keep the water out. Sisters and brothers torn by hurricane hands, left in the dark, hungry rubble. What will we say we gave to them? Sisters and brothers of this island, together we must decide if we will rise.
Pacific child cannot stop the theft alone. Some sand can be saved, but not all. The woman of the sand sings so sweetly of love and protection, speaks a verse in praise of perfection, with a golden invitation to the land of ice, where a soul sister cries with every melting day. No faith, a heart left broken, and land has gone where mammoths stood.
People with banners and placards, marching to a samba beat, closing bridges with pink boats, displacing cars with bicycles in long and winding pelotons, using music, clown and poetry. I hear you ask the city, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? And hope you're stronger than that futile king who commanded the tide to turn. Children of the new millennium, I can only imagine how baffled you feel. To be born into a global crisis, more existential than any we have known. History is often violent. But since prehistoric Central Asia sank beneath a semi-mythic flood, has the future of the land itself been so uncertain? May you forge a cause for hope and rise.